All right, settle in because we're about to pull back the curtain on something you probably think you know inside and out: body language. We've all seen the movies, right? The intense detective spots a shifty glance, a nervous fidget, or a hand touching the nose, and bam, they've caught them in a lie. Or maybe you've tried to be that savvy detective in your own life, reading into every crossed arm, every eye movement, or every time they touch some part of their face. It feels intuitive, powerful even, this ability to peek behind someone's words and see their true intentions. But what if I told you that almost everything you've been taught, everything you think you know about reading body language for deception is, well, pretty much a lie? It's a bold claim, I know. It flies in the face of countless self-help books, popular psychology articles, and even some so-called expert advice. But the truth, as it often does, lies not in our gut feelings, but in rigorous scientific research. And that research paints a very different and, frankly, far more nuanced picture. So let's dive deep and bust some of the most pervasive myths that have held us captive far too long. Get ready to rethink how you understand human interaction because it's probably not what you expect. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. For generations, we've been fed this idea that our bodies are leaky vessels, constantly broadcasting our inner thoughts and feelings, especially when we're trying to hide something. Think about it. How many times have you heard that someone avoiding eye contact is a surefire sign that they are being dishonest? Or that fidgeting, touching your face, or crossing your arms means that you're nervous, defensive, or outright lying? These aren't just fringe beliefs. They've become ingrained in our collective understanding of human behavior. These things are taught in some corporate training seminars, cited in legal dramas, and even, alarmingly, sometimes used in real-world investigations. We have been led to believe there's a secret code, a universal dictionary of nonverbal cues that, once deciphered, will unlock the truth. The allure of this idea is undeniable, to be sure. Imagine being able to instantly tell if someone is trustworthy, if a deal is legitimate, or if a partner is being faithful, all just by observing their movements and actions. It's a superpower, right? It promises control, insight, and a shortcut to understanding deception. But here's the truth, folks. That secret code to detecting deception, it doesn't really exist. Let's tackle some of these supposed tales head on. Take the classic avoiding eye contact myth. The narrative goes something like this. A liar can't look you in the eye. They'll dart their eyes around. They'll look down. They'll look up. They'll look anywhere just to avoid making eye contact with you. Sounds logical enough, doesn't it? But think about it for a second. If you knew that avoiding eye contact was a sign of lying and you were lying, wouldn't you actively try to maintain eye contact to appear to be honest? What about someone who is simply shy, anxious, or from a culture where direct eye contact can be seen as disrespectful? Are they all liars? Of course not. Scientific studies have repeatedly shown that there is no consistent correlation between eye contact and deception. Some liars maintain intense eye contact to appear credible, while some truth tellers look away due to discomfort or social anxiety. It's not a reliable indicator, not even close. Then there's the fidgeting, the nervous energy, the hand wringing, the leg bouncing, the constant shifting. Surely that means guilt, right? Again, not necessarily. Think about the last time you were in a high-stakes situation, maybe an important job interview, a difficult conversation, or even just waiting for a delayed flight at the airport. Did you feel a little antsy? Did you perhaps tap your foot, adjust your clothing, or play with a pen? These are all natural responses to stress, anxiety, and even boredom. A person being questioned in an investigation, whether innocent or guilty, is likely to be under immense stress. Their body's natural response might be to fidget, and attributing this common human reaction solely to deception is a huge logical leap and a dangerous oversimplification. What about touching the face, perhaps rubbing the nose or covering the mouth? This one has been popularized by many body language experts as a definitive sign of deceit, almost as if the body is trying to physically block the lie. But let's be real, folks. People touch their faces for a myriad of reasons: allergies, an itch, fatigue, habit, or they could simply be thinking about a question. If you're in a stressful situation, you might unconsciously touch your face more often. It is a self-soothing gesture, not an indicator of deception. Relying on such flimsy evidence is like trying to predict the weather by the direction a squirrel buries its nuts. Charming, perhaps, but utterly unscientific. Here's the real eye-opening part of it. Extensive scientific research and numerous expert analysis consistently show that there is no reliable or consistent way to interpret body language cues as definitive indicators of lying or truthfulness. None. Zero. Zip. The common beliefs we hold dear are simply not supported by robust evidence. This isn't just a minor disagreement, it's a fundamental debunking of a widespread misconception. Think about it for a second. If there were truly universal tells, wouldn't we all be master lie detectors by now? We interact with people constantly. We'd quickly learn to spot all of the signs of deception, but the reality is human lie detection accuracy hovers around the 50-50 mark. That's right. Meta-analysis, which combines data from many different studies, reveal that people, and this includes seasoned law enforcement professionals trained in these very techniques, can only detect lies slightly better than random guessing, often around 51 to 54% accuracy. Let that sink in for a moment. 51 to 54% accuracy. You would have roughly the same success rate flipping a coin. This means that if you're trying to read body language to tell if somebody is lying to you, you're essentially operating on pure chance. It is largely ineffective. And what about those fancy machines like the polygraph or lie detectors, often associated with physiological responses and, by extension, body language? Polygraph tests, despite their dramatic portrayal in movies, don't actually measure truthfulness. What they measure are physiological arousal responses, things like heart rate, blood pressure, skin conductivity. These are indicators of stress, anxiety, or excitement, all of which can be triggered by nervousness, regardless of whether someone is guilty or innocent. Imagine being hooked up to a machine, asked accusatory questions, and knowing that your future might depend on how your body reacts. Who wouldn't be nervous? An innocent person could easily show deceptive physiological responses simply because they're terrified of being wrongly accused. And conversely, a skilled, remorseless liar might remain perfectly calm. So if even these supposedly scientific instruments are unreliable because they conflate anxiety with deception, how can we expect our untrained eyes to do any better with body language alone? One of the biggest flaws in the body language as a lie detector theory is its failure to account for the sheer complexity of human beings. Nonverbal behaviors are incredibly imprecise and influenced by a dizzying array of factors. Think about cultural backgrounds for a moment. A gesture that signifies agreement or honesty in one culture might be rude or evasive in another. What about personality? Some people are naturally more expressive, some more reserved, some fidget constantly, others can sit perfectly still as statues all of the time. Mental health conditions, neurological differences, or even just a bad night's sleep can drastically alter a person's demeanor and physical presentation too. Stress, as we've discussed, is a huge factor to consider as well. Someone might be anxious about being late, about a personal problem, or about simply being observed, completely unrelated to whether they are telling the truth or lying in the moment. A single gesture or posture that might seem suspicious in one context could be perfectly benign or completely unrelated to deception in another. This immense variability absolutely torpedoes the validity of body language as a reliable deception indicator. You can't apply a one-size-fits-all rule to something as diverse and dynamic as human behavior. Some investigative techniques try to get around this by suggesting we look for clusters of behaviors or changes from a person's baseline. The idea is that no single clue is definitive, but a combination or a sudden deviation from how someone normally acts might signal something is amiss. It sounds reasonable, doesn't it? But research shows these criteria are often too vague and subjective to reliably identify deception. What constitutes a cluster? How do you accurately establish a baseline for someone you have just met, especially when they are already in a stressful situation? Even if you could establish a baseline, a change might indicate stress, anger, discomfort, or any number of emotions, not necessarily deceit. The faint and inconsistent nature of actual deception cues means that even with these more sophisticated approaches, we are still largely grasping at straws. We're prone to confirmation bias, seeing what we expect to see or what we want to see, especially when we're trying to solve a puzzle. This isn't just an academic debate, folks. There are serious real-world consequences to clinging to these body language myths. The reliance of unreliable body language interpretation, especially in law enforcement and legal settings, can lead to grave injustices, to be sure. Imagine an innocent person, nervous and intimidated during an interrogation, exhibiting behaviors that are wrongly interpreted as signs of guilt. Their fidgeting, their lack of eye contact, their defensive posture, all perfectly normal reactions to stress, might be taken as proof that they are lying. This misplaced confidence in body language can influence investigators, leading them down the wrong path, ignoring actual evidence, and potentially contributing to wrongful convictions. Juries, too, are susceptible. We're all human, and we all carry these preconceived notions about what a liar looks like. An articulate, calm, yet guilty individual might walk free, while a nervous, truthful person might be condemned, all because of a misunderstanding of nonverbal cues. The system, designed to seek truth, can be tragically undermined by these persistent, unscientific beliefs. It's also fascinating and a little concerning to consider how even the posture of the investigator or the judge can influence the process. Studies suggest that an interviewer's own body language can subtly affect the attention and judgment of the person being interviewed. If an interviewer leans back, appearing relaxed and open, they might encourage more candid responses. If they lean forward, intense, and accusatory, they might inadvertently increase the subject's anxiety, leading to more deceptive cues, regardless of truthfulness. This adds another layer of complexity and potential for error, demonstrating that our own biases and physical expressions are always at play in these interactions. Despite this overwhelming scientific evidence, these misconceptions about body language and deception are incredibly widespread and stubbornly persistent. Popular media continues to churn out portrayals of infallible lie detectors, and training programs, some quite expensive, still peddle these outdated theories. Even some legal practitioners who should know better continue to lean on these easily debunked ideas. This perpetuation isn't just harmless entertainment either. It actively hinders the adoption of more reliable, evidence-based investigative methods. It keeps us stuck in a cycle of speculation rather than focusing on what actually works. So if body language isn't a reliable lie detector, what is it good for? Well, it is still incredibly valuable, just not in the way many people think. Body language is a crucial component of overall communication. It conveys emotion, builds rapport, expresses engagement, and can add nuance to verbal messages. It helps us understand how someone is feeling, even if it can't tell us what they're feeling or why they're feeling that way, or if those feelings are honest. For example, open posture and consistent eye contact might indicate comfort and openness in a conversation, making someone seem more approachable. A slouched posture and averted gaze might suggest discomfort or disinterest. These are general indicators of emotional states and engagement, not secret windows into a person's veracity. It's about context, empathy, and understanding the broader human experience rather than searching for a single definitive tell. The real takeaway here is a call for caution and critical thinking, folks. Investigators, legal professionals, and frankly, all of us should be extremely wary of over-interpreting nonverbal cues, especially when trying to discern truth from lies. When conducting an interview, it's essential to prioritize what really matters, the facts, instead of getting distracted by nonverbal cues like fidgeting hands or darting eyes. We should focus on verifying information through credible sources and evaluating the consistency and coherence of verbal statements. To achieve this, ask open-ended questions that encourage honest responses rather than triggering anxiety. This approach will help you gather accurate and reliable data, leading to a more informed understanding of the situation. We need to understand that the human mind and body are complex, and our outward expressions are rarely a simple, direct translation of our inner truth. So the next time you see someone touch their nose or avoid your gaze, resist the urge to jump to conclusions about their honesty. Remember that the idea of body language as a foolproof lie detector is a captivating but ultimately false narrative. It is a myth that, while entertaining, can lead to serious misjudgments, wrongful accusations, and even miscarriages of justice. Let's move beyond that, folks, and let's embrace a more informed, scientifically grounded understanding of how we truly communicate. It's time to stop looking for the lie in body language and start appreciating its true, complex role in the rich tapestry of human interaction.